This is Udacity's.com Intro to Computer Science course, and it's a particular problem is the Sudoku checker problem. We're going to go over this code so you can better understand how the code works and how it fits together. The first thing we're going to look at is P, and what P is a matrix, which is so many digits long and so many digits in depth. And we're going to capture the length of that matrix by introducing this variable n. And we can get the length by just putting len p. And let's just say this is a 9 by 9 matrix. Well, we got to count 1 through 9, and we got to be able to introduce another variable to capture that, and we're going to introduce digit. So we'll make the first digit 1, so it's going to have to count 1 through 9 if it is a 9 by 9 matrix. The next part of this code is what you'll see is that we have 3 different while loops. And the way that this is set up is, well, if you can pass all the parameters, then we are going to assume, or it's going to assume that this code is true. There was nothing wrong with the code, or there was nothing wrong with the matrix, the way it was set up. But first you got to go through these while loops. So let's go through these while loops. Alright, the digit has to be less than n. So if the digit is greater than n, so if it's a 9 by 9 matrix and this is 10, it's going to just go back down to return true. So it had to make its way all the way 1 through 9 for this to return true. The next, we're going to introduce another variable I. I is going to be relative to the row, and while I is less than n. Now, you would think like, well, why isn't less than an equal? And we'll go over that in a second. I'll get to that. But let's keep moving. The next variables we have is row count and column count, and we'll show you why that's important right there in a second. And then j is going to be the column, and that's also going to be 0, just like the I was. And we're going to do it the same way. While j is less than n, do the following. So if pij, that's a position in the matrix, is what that is. And so if those are both 0, I is 0 and j is 0, well, what you have is you have the first position in the matrix. So if that first position in the matrix is equal to this digit, then what you want to do is you want to capture that. And the way that they do that is having a row count. So the row count here, and then we also want to check the columns. And so we're going to look at the columns to make sure it equals the same digit, because you can't have a double. And if you have a double, so let's just say that there was 2 ones and the first digit was 1. There's 2 ones. What you'll have is this row count will equal 2. And let's just say there was no 1, then row count it won't go here, so row count will equal 0. It'll be like what this row count was here. And that's important because in this line of code right here, if the row count does not equal 1, then it's returned false. So if it's 2, it's going to return false. If it's 0, it's going to return false. So as you go through the loops and you go through, and as these digit counts, and this is what this variable is, j is going to count, I is going to count, and the digits are going to count. And so it's going to go through each one of the rows, each one of the columns, and each one of the digits. And if all those work out as correct, it doesn't turn out false, then this will be a true code.